Welcome back to Weather Nation. We're talking to the National Park Service across various areas in the country and even beyond, including today. We head down to the Caribbean to talk to Kristen Ewan, who's a biologist with the National Park Service, located in St. Croix currently. Thanks for joining us, Kristen. We really appreciate your time. And a lot of people may not think of national parks when they think about the Virgin Islands. Can you tell us a little bit about some of the National Park Service units that are down into this part of the country?
Yeah, so we actually have both parks on St. John. That's kind of the more recognized national park is Virgin Islands National Park. But then we also have 3 units on St. Croix, which is just about 44 miles south of St. John. And we have Salt River. It's both a historical park, but also an ecological preserve. We have Christiansted Historic, which is in downtown Christiansted. And then we also have Buck Island Reef National Monument, which is probably the most popular because it has a beautiful white sand beach, but then also a wonderful reef area where people are able to snorkel and see kind of our underwater reef communities.
That sounds beautiful, but of course, when you're planning this trip, you want to think about the weather a little bit. It is hurricane season going through most of summer, the fall, heading into late fall. So when is the best time of year? When do you recommend that people plan these trips and visit some of these beautiful parks?
I always recommend that people visit in the springtime. So actually spring break falls in like the perfect weather conditions. And also the very beginning of hurricane season around June, we generally don't get very many storms. And so this is also a really wonderful time.
Okay, good to know. Spring and summer weather, I just assume, is hot and fairly humid most of the time. And what would you say most days are like down there?
Yeah, so it's actually quite surprising. Our habitats down here are actually somewhat considered tropical dry forests. So it's a little bit more of a dry heat than you might experience like on the East Coast or in the South of the United States. So a lot of people come down here and they're like, yes, it's definitely hot out, but it's not as humid as they expect. So you want to make sure that you're still drinking plenty of water, putting on tons of sunscreen, because you don't realize how much sun you're actually receiving.
Awesome. So what kind of things can people do? I mean, obviously we hear islands, we think about going to the beach, but I know there's some fun activities you can do in some of these park units, visiting some of the historical sites. What are some of the more popular activities?
Some of my favorite activities, even though I go to these parks every single day, for the most part, is that at least for Buck Island Reef National Monument, you can take a tour with some of our concessionaires and go out there and learn how to snorkel right off at a beautiful, nice sandy beach. And then they'll take you around the corner into a lagoon that has very calm water, very shallow, only about 8 to 10 feet. And then kind of advance your snorkeling skills and go in the water there and see some of our underwater reef communities. And then you also have Salt River. Salt River isn't open right now. However, we are redoing our current visitor center in Salt River. And that's a beautiful, just robust mangrove community. And so you can go and take kayak tours through the mangroves. They even have a bioluminescent tour because we have a rare bay that has bioluminescence within it, which is what makes kind of the water glow at night, which is really cool.
Yeah, absolutely. And real quick, what's one thing that maybe people miss when they're coming to these park services? There's always these popular trails or popular activities. What's something that's maybe a little bit under the radar?
I would say we have a wonderful Overlook Hike, which unfortunately doesn't have the best cell service, but has the most beautiful view. But I think it's so beautiful walking up there, and it overlooks the entire reefscape of the north side of the island. And so if you get an opportunity to either jump on a friend's boat while you're down here, kind of create a special tour through one of the concessionaires, going and doing that Overlook Hike is so worth it.
Awesome. No cell service and a remote hike sounds perfect for me. So thank you, Kristen Ewan. We really appreciate your time, biologist with the National Park Service down there in St. Croix. Look forward to hopefully visiting some of those beautiful areas one day.